Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for coming to today's professional development seminar entitled Group Activities in Canvas and Zoom. Every student's favorite thing. Not. it's. I certainly remember as a student hating group activities in classes and team activities because all of a sudden your grade is not entirely under your control anymore. You've got to learn to work with other people and motivate them or do all their work for them, as the case may be. And it is adds another level of challenge to getting stuff done in a college class. So students generally hate it, and it's more work for us as well. So there's not a great deal of it done in a lot of courses. But it's a very important thing for students to experience. I don't have to tell you that in the world of work, students are going to be, in many cases, working in teams. And if they haven't had any preparation for that in college, it's quite an adjustment for them. There are all sorts of technical and interpersonal skills involved, of course, in doing this and motivating other team members, getting along with other team members, accepting the foibles of other team members and still getting the job done, and not leaving anyone behind, and not leaving the goal of the team behind. It's all quite challenging. So it's really beneficial to students to have practice in this sort of work before they leave college. And both Canvas and Zoom provide numerous tools, numerous opportunities for students to engage in group work together. And we're going to look at how you can implement that in both Canvas and Zoom today. We'll start with Canvas. Got to start somewhere. Canvas allows you to create in your Canvas courses student groups. You can, as we'll see, you can create them in a number of fashions. But there are two main types of groups that can be created in a Canvas course. There are so-called course groups, which you, the instructor, create, and you in some way assort the students in your class among those groups. We'll see there are a couple of different ways to do that. And then you assign work to those groups, projects often. You allow the group tools in the course groups in Canvas allow students to communicate with one another and so on. We'll see more about that in a minute. But these are groups that you create under the People tool in the course menu in Canvas. Now we'll go through that, demonstrate every step of that as we go along. There are also, however, if you allow it in your course, this is something you can turn on or off in your course, there's an option for students to create their own groups, study groups, or just social groups if they want to have a place where they can communicate with one another securely without worry of their communications being intercepted and things like that or monitored. Students can create their own groups in Canvas. Course groups in Canvas can be used in all sorts of ways to evaluate student progress. Student groups are just there for students to improve their experience in the course and allow them to create meeting places where the people that they want to communicate with in their Canvas course can meet and interact asynchronously, mostly, because Canvas, of course, is primarily an asynchronous environment. People don't have to be online at the same time to interact with one another and to interact with the course material. So student groups give students a way to keep track of one another. Oh, yeah, someone having a problem with a connection there. I'm sorry to hear that. Please let me know if I need to repeat something or something like that. I'll be happy to. And hopefully it won't disrupt your experience too much, but we are recording this. So if you miss something, you will be able to go back and figure out what was said before you came back. So, course groups and student groups, we'll see how to create those. We'll start with course groups, since those are the much more commonly used tool. So let's see. Let's go into a Canvas course as the instructor and see how to do this. I've got a groups sandbox here, which I thought I had right up at the top. Sorry. Pardon me while I find that. Way too many courses on my dashboard there. There it is. Okay, just a Canvas course. I can mess up any way I like, so I don't have to worry about it. To create course groups in a Canvas course, you have to have access to the People tool, which you as the instructor would always have. Your roster tool. And across the top here, here's a list, of course, of all the folks enrolled in the course, both instructors and students. But the group section of this is right up here at the top. You have some tabs up here at the top of the People screen. The default tab shows everyone in the course. And then there are other tabs that can be created. To create student groups in Canvas, you first got to create a group set. Okay, a group set is a collection of groups all focused on the same project or the same purpose, the same goal in Canvas. And within the group set, then, you'll have several student groups with different students in each group. And generally, students cannot, in course groups, students can only belong to one group in a group set at a time. So it'll be a different set of students in each group. But first, we have to create the infrastructure, the skeleton for those groups, which is called a group set. So I just click that Add Group Set button, and I have to give the group set a name. I'm just going to call this Project Group. For Seminar 11/29, 2022, just so I remember which one this is. Right off the bat, I get to decide how I'm going to allow people to assort themselves among the groups. If I check this box here that says allow self-sign-up, obviously students are going to be able to join the group that they want to, so they can find their friends. They can go in and they can join the group they wish. The alternative to that is to have you either have Canvas assort students randomly among the different groups in the course, or you can assign the students manually yourself and control who's in which student group. That's the most work-intensive way to do it, so that's the one I'm going to demonstrate. The automatic options, you just select them and the groups just happen. Then we've got this group structure menu we've got to open up. And we've got three options under this menu. One is to create the groups manually later. In other words, outside this particular box. Or this is where I can have Canvas create or assort students among the groups automatically. I can either have it split students by number of groups, or I can say I want 4 students in each group, and Canvas will then create the number of groups I need in order to give me a set number of students per group. So that simplifies your process of creating the groups. Or again, if I split students by number of groups, I just tell Canvas, well, I want so many groups, and that randomly assigns the students to each group and evens out the numbers as best it can. So there'll be one group with, if you have an odd number of students and an even number of groups, there'll be one group that has one less student than the others. But it'll take care of all that for you. You can even, and if you need a group leader, you can have Canvas randomly assign one. But what I'm going to do here is create the groups later, because that's the most complex way of doing it, and if you can do it this way, the other ways are much simpler. So I've named the group. I'm not going to allow self-sign-up. I'm going to assign the students to the different groups in this set, and I'll save that group. So now I get a tab at the top of the People page in your Canvas course, and this is course by course. These groups don't spread across courses. If you want groups in different courses, you have to create the group sets in different courses, though you can copy the structure of group sets from one course to another when you're updating, when you're moving from one semester to the next. If you use the same groups, student groups, in each semester, you don't have to recreate this from scratch each time. All right, so we've got a group set, but we have no groups within that set because I didn't have Canvas create them automatically. So if I'm going to create the groups manually, I just use this button right here that says Group, and this is within this group set. So within this project group set here, I'm going to need to create enough groups that I can rationally accommodate all the students that are enrolled in this course. And I create groups within a group set by just clicking this plus group button here, and I give the group a name. It usually has something to do with the name of the group set. I'm just going to call this project group 11/29/2022 group 1, or something like that. I can call it Fred if I want to. I can name these in any way that makes sense to me. I can set a group membership limit, but that doesn't make sense if I'm doing it myself, unless I have a senior moment and forget how many students I put in each group. So that's not really valid here. So I'll save that, and now I've got a group inside my group set, and the groups are listed here under the groups column in this table here, and there's no students in it yet. I'll take care of that in a minute. I've got 6 students in this course, 6 test students. So I'm going to make 3 groups just for the heck of it. So I'm going to, rather than having to type that every time, I'm going to copy it to the clipboard, add a new group, paste that in, and we'll make this project group 2. And repeat that one more time. So that's all there is to creating the groups within a group set. You can have as many groups as you like in a group set, and you can have as many different group sets within a course as you like, until you get to the point where you can't keep track of them anymore, and it's probably a good idea to back off. Can get carried away with this. So now the only remaining task I have here is to assign, since I've decided to manually assign my students to the groups, so I don't have, a couple of trouble. If I know I've got a couple of troublemakers, I can make sure that they're separated from one another and things like that. If there are people I want to work together, I can put them together, or I can just randomly assort people among the groups. To do that, all I have to do is open up the groups here, which would normally show the roster for each group, and then just drag the students from this unassigned students list here over in there. So it's real simple to assort the students manually among the groups. And that's all there is to create. That's the hardest way, or the most complicated way of creating student groups, course groups, in a Canvas course. Is to create the group set, and create the groups manually. You pick a number that you want to, that makes sense to you, a number of groups within the group set that makes sense to you, so you have enough students in each group to do the work, but not so many that someone's going to be able to freeload on everyone else. And you then manually pick from your enrolled students in the course and drag them into the group that you want them to be in. As opposed to I'll make another group set, and I can have students split by number of students per group randomly. Let's say I want 3 students in each group. I just tell it how many students I want in each group. Don't worry about this box that says require group members to be in the same section. They're all in the same catalog section from PeopleSoft, and we don't use virtual sections in Canvas here, given the way PeopleSoft and Canvas integrate with one another. And if I like, I can automatically assign a group leader. I can either set the first student to show up and reward them with the onus of being group leader, or I can have a random one picked. And then I just save that, and that creates the groups bada bing. It's randomly assigned group leaders here and randomly assigned students to the groups. That's a lot quicker way of creating course groups if you really don't care how the students are assorted among the different groups. And again, if it doesn't come out even, there'll be one group that has one fewer student in it than all the others. And Canvas will just live with that. Any questions about creating student groups in Canvas?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I said, oh, somebody's awake out there.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah. And I haven't even bothered to mute you all at this point because there's been no background noise. But if you are muted, anytime you have a question or you want to respond, just unmute yourself and speak up. We're not standing on ceremony here.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so creating student groups. So, what does that give the students, and what can they do with it? And these two slides, there's a lot of overlap, so I'm just going to do them together. The students get, by virtue of being enrolled in a student group within a group set, get a group homepage. And we'll see what's on that homepage in a second. Well, actually, here's a pretty good list of what's on there. If you have student groups, probably the most important thing you can do with them is assign homework assignments, Canvas homework assignments, to those groups that require the students to work together to fulfill the assignment and usually upload something to you, a file of some sort to you when they're done. The group leader, if there is one, or if you don't assign a group leader, just any student within the group, will be able to submit the assignment, the fulfillment of the file that fulfills the assignment, and then you'll grade it, and everyone within the group will get the same grade. That's how group assignments usually work. You can also assign quizzes to different groups so that different groups get different quizzes. The students can create their own discussion topics within their groups that only people within the group can access. So that's a great way for them to share information while they're working on a group project. They can message one another in such a way that they don't all have to be online at the same time to get the messages. They can share files that way. They can communicate with one another in all sorts of ways through discussions. They can also share files and pages. They can upload computer files to a file area that is only accessible to the students within that group. They can also create Canvas pages. If you assign them to create a web page that illustrates something or explains something, they can create that and they can work on it together. They can all access the page. They can all do the work at different times, and when the page is the way they want it, then they can submit that work to you in fulfillment of an assignment if that's what you want them to do. They can also create collaborative documents that they can work on together, other than Canvas pages, using the tools on the group homepage. So let's see how this works. Let's take a look at the group homepage for one of these groups that we just created in Canvas. Let's go to the project group here. We've got the project group set. We've got 3 groups, 2 students in each group. Let's see how students access this and what they can do. I have another browser here, a window that I'm going to pull up. And I'm going to log in as one of those 6 test students. And I'll find that course. There it is. And if there are groups created in the course, students will know that by virtue of the course groups appearing on the home page. They can also access groups within any of their courses by going to the Groups tool on the Global Access menu, the gray bar in Canvas. And these are the groups that this student is enrolled in. It so happens they all happen to be in this course, but that wouldn't necessarily be the case there. So students can access their groups from the Groups tool in the Global Access menu, or from the group list in their to-do list here on the course homepage. So let's access this project group set. And here is the group homepage for that group in this course. What they see on the group homepage is a so-called course activity stream, or a group activity stream, I should say, which just shows what's been happening in that group over time. And since we just created a group, there's nothing going on right now. We'll see here in a minute what this can look like once students start doing something, using the group for something. And I forgot the announcements tool. I forgot to mention that. Students can post announcements within their own groups just by clicking on this announcements tool here in the group menu and adding an announcement. Same thing you do when you create announcements in the course in general, in the broader course, but they can create their own announcements. Where are you all? And save. Okay. Now if I go back to home, there's an announcement that's been posted. Other students coming in would see that announcement and be able to read it. So that's one way that students within a group can communicate with one another, by just posting announcements for one another that everyone can read. This student can also create pages, Canvas pages, which are basically little web pages that can contain text, graphics, images, videos, and everybody, and only the students within this group will be able to access these pages. The student just clicks Add Page in the upper right hand corner of the, let me go back, I did that a little too quick. Yeah, leave. From the Pages tool, any of the students who are enrolled in this group can click the Add Page or Plus Page button up here in the upper right, and they get the full rich content editor. And they have to name the page something. And then they can, this is an outline for our project. They can type anything they like in here. They can also insert graphics, images. They can normally they'd be uploading an image. This is the same upload image tool they use throughout Canvas. They just click on the little rocket ship and they can access any digital image files they have stored on their computer or on their phone. They can do this from their phones just as easily as they can. And they can add some alternate text. When I was younger, I bore a terrifying resemblance to Alfred E. Newman. And submit that, and so they can include an image. They can include videos by using the, if they have videos stored in their Canvas Studio libraries, which students have just like you do. They can use this apps tool here to access their Canvas Studio libraries. Let's see what I've got in there. Here's a, oh, this Test Student 3 only has one video in their library, so I'll have to select that one and embed that video. So they can share a video with their fellow students this way. So Canvas Pages is a very powerful means of sharing information. And this is automatically a shared document, because all of the students in this group would be able to then edit this document. So this is an easy way for them to say, start a document that would satisfy the requirements of an assignment, and that they can then later send to fulfill a Canvas assignment, or simply say the page is in our group, on our group homepage, and you can access their group homepage and see the page. So it's a great way for students to be able to work together and to share information with one another in the process of working on a project. They also have a, oops, I didn't save that. Canvas has a nice way of reminding me that I haven't saved something before I'm about to leave the page. So there's that page that is available to anybody who is a member, a student member of this group, or to you as the instructor. Group discussions, go ahead.
Just so, and the pages is just kind of a way for the student group to start collaborating with each other and working together, right?
They could certainly use it for that.
Okay.
Or they could provide information to one another that they're going to need as part of a final project.
Okay.
And then put that in some other format, like they might create a PowerPoint presentation or a Word document or something like that, using information that they've put in this page.
Okay.
But the page is probably the simplest way for them to collaborate.
Yeah.
See, they've got other ways to do that here.
Okay.
But the pages are so dirt simple that they could create pages collaboratively with little or no awareness of how any of these tools work.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You bet. We'll get to files and collaborations in a moment, which are a little more complicated than pages for the students. Discussions. You know what discussion topics are in Canvas. You create them for the students, usually, to allow them to introduce themselves to their fellow students, to carry out class discussions in an asynchronous fashion so that they don't all have to be online at the same time, and they don't have to stare at one another while they're doing it, so you tend to get a lot better participation. Or you can use it to have them share their work with the class as a whole. But generally, in most cases, vast majority of cases, discussion topics that are accessible to everyone in the course are created by you as part of setting up the course. These group discussions are discussion topics that the students can create themselves. So let's say they're working on a particular part of the project and people are submitting their ideas, the student, one or more students within the group, can create a discussion topic by clicking this Add Topic button. Just call this brainstorming topic. Post your ideas here, please. They certainly want to allow threaded replies if the discussion gets complex, where a lot of people are posting over a period of time. It helps if the posts that are related to one another are grouped together. That's what threaded discussions mean. They can also try to turn this into Facebook by allowing liking. At least there's no dislike button in Canvas. And they can add things to the student to-do list, but usually just allowing threaded replies is all they need to do. And save this. And now there's a discussion topic. And a particular student can come in and post. They get the full rich content editor. They can post their ideas in textual format, or they can post images or videos or other documents. They can post entire documents to this. So it's just an amazingly effective communication tool, and everybody within the group can see this, but only the students within this group see this discussion topic and can participate in it. So it's a private area. That doesn't mean you can't see it. You, as the instructor can access any of this. So if you get a complaint from a student in a group that there's stuff going on in that discussion I'm not comfortable with, you can go in and check on that. But whether you do that on a regular basis, of course, is up to you and how you're using the groups and how you're using these student groups, these course groups.
May I ask something?
Absolutely, anytime.
All right. So if you have a group discussion that, and you would like to make this available to everybody in the class, can you do that?
Not without putting everybody in the class in the group. It's designed to be a private discussion.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's any way you could work around that, in case you say, oh, there's wonderful stuff going on in there. I want the rest of you to see this as well. I can see where that would be very useful.
Exactly.
Think of a way to do that.
Couldn't you cut and paste it, Dave, if you had permission from the
you could, exactly. You could do copy paste. It would, if there were a lot of posts, it would be extremely tedious. I was trying to think of something that would be a little more automatic than that, but yeah, as a last resort, you could just copy and paste the posts into a discussion topic that's accessible to everyone that you create as the instructor, and then you just copy all those posts in there. But again, if it's rocking and rolling, there are 50 posts in there, that's going to take you a while. I'll think about that and try to think if there's any other, if there might be any easier way to do that, because that's a neat idea. Okay, so that's how students, and remember, students create these, you don't create them for them, generally. Though you could go in and do that, but it's generally something that they would do as an organic part of working on whatever project you've assigned to them, whatever group project you've assigned to them.
Dave?
Yes.
I have a question.
Good.
All right, so I used the discussion for one activity where the students have to write their own survey questions, and therefore they give it to all their classmates. So there will be a lot of posts with each student. But I wanted to, is there a way to indent it? Because sometimes it's kind of hard to, like the indentation is not that deep. Like if you can indent it.
there's no way I know to increase that. When discussion topics are threaded in Canvas, posts that are replies to other posts are indented underneath the original post to which they apply if you select the threaded option. But the indentation is very subtle and it can be hard to see. Now, I don't know of a way to increase that indent.
I mean, so far all I've just told them, just make sure you put the word topic, and that way.
There you go. There's always a way to work around, but it can be a little hard to see. Though, of course, if you have set up threading in the group, at least the posts will be grouped together.
Right.
So it's a little bit easier.
It's so subtle. Sometimes you can see.
It's a very subtle, it's a very subtle indentation. I agree.
I mean, if you had color or bigger fonts or something, that would help. But
that would be a good suggestion to Instructure on something to improve the Canvas discussion topics. And in fact, there are some improvements in discussion topics in the works, but I don't remember that being one of them.
So no color, no fonts.
No color, no fonts, no increased indent. I will say in Blackboard, it used to be a lot easier to tell when a post
Okay, it wasn't my imagination.
indented under another one. But there were many, many other negatives to Blackboard. So, okay, the files gives you access to a file area that is limited or specifically dedicated to this particular student group, which would allow students to share files with one another. Let's say their job is to create a PowerPoint presentation to use that they're going to present later in the term as a group. They could upload slides, fragments of a PowerPoint presentation to this, and they're the only ones who will see it and have access to it. To upload a file, all they have to do is click this upload button up here in the upper right. That's pretty obvious. Canvas's interface is usually quite intuitive. And let's say there's a file that they want to share with one another. They just have to know where they have it on their computer. And whether it be a Word document, it could be any sort of file. And then any of the members of this group can open the document, assuming Canvas has a viewer that will visualize that document. Or they can download it using the context menu over here. They can download it, they can rename it, they can delete it. So it's conceivable that one student could delete a file uploaded by another student if the two students were in the same group. Hopefully that won't happen, but the students within this group have pretty much unlimited access to these files. And finally, students can create documents that they can collaborate on in real time. So they don't have to email or upload different versions of the document to one another, and then somebody has to, and then you have all these different versions of the same document and so on. The students can create a collaborative document, and these collaborations are possible not just within student groups, but also within the course as a whole. Within the course as a whole, you can create collaborative documents that you want a group of students to work on, or the entire class to work on. But within a student course group like this, the students can create their own collaborations. They start this by clicking on this Add Collaboration button in the upper right. And they have two ways of doing this. They can either use Google Docs, Google Apps, which is free for use. There's a paid version of Google Workspace or whatever, but the basic Google apps are free. Anybody can have the access to those. Or all of our students now have access to Microsoft Office 365. Indeed, they have better access to it than some of us. So they can create documents, Office 365 documents, in either Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, and then automatically share those with the people in this student group so that all the people in this group can work on that same document at the same time. So they just have one document, and eventually when they get that document the way they like, they can then submit that document to a Canvas assignment or use it for whatever purpose they need to in the process of fulfilling their project goals. I'd like to demonstrate that to you, but the students in here, like test student 4 here, don't have Microsoft accounts, so it doesn't work. So I'm just going to show you how this works if they do it through Google Apps. It's the same basic process in Microsoft Office as well. In Google Apps, they have Google Documents, Google Spreadsheets, or Google Presentations. Just as in Microsoft Office, they have Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, and PowerPoint presentations. But let's say we're going to collaborate on a Word document or a Google document. I can select that. I just have to give it a name, like our document, whatever. And I have to decide who I want to collaborate with, which would be generally the people in my group. But if I want to only collaborate with 1 or 2 people within my group and not the rest, I can do that. I just have to click on the people I want to collaborate with, and there's only one other person in this group, student course group, so then I'll submit, and there it is, our document. And I'm test student 3 here. Both test student 4 and I can just come to this collaborations page and they'll see this document listed. They can click on it, and I may be, I'm already logged into my Google account, so it just comes up. If the student, and this of course requires that both students have Google accounts, which are free, and most people have a Google account. If they use Gmail or YouTube or Google Docs, they have Google accounts already. If they're using Microsoft Office, all of our students now have their own Microsoft Office 365 accounts that they can use to collaborate. Except, of course, for my test students. I can't show you that. And so they can start. Like I can type. So this student, the student who created this, we certainly understand can do that, but just as easily the other student. Okay, so there I am. I'm logged in as test student 4, and I can. There we go. There I'm actually in the document. Here I'm test student 4, so I can interrogatory. What was that? And that I see what test student 3 has typed. I see what I've typed. Let me stop my share and take you back to here. You're seeing the document from test student 3's viewpoint. So everybody can within the student group, course group, can edit the document. Everybody sees what everybody else has inserted into the document, and the students, and of course this again doesn't have to happen in real time. People can work on this same document at different times, insert their part of the document, clean up things. It's the intelligence of the crowd at work here. They can keep fiddling with one another's work until they get it the way they want it before they submit this shared document to an assignment or just use it for their own purposes. So collaborations are quite a bit more complicated to use than Canvas pages, which also provide the same capability. Basically, a student can create a page, and all the other students within the group could edit that page, and then they can utilize that page in a variety of ways. But all of these capabilities are built into this is again the course or the group home page for this particular group. And each group, within each group set within your Canvas course, has a group homepage like this that gives them access to all of these different tools provided by Canvas. So it's a very powerful collaborative working environment that they can use to fulfill project requirements that you give them as part of the process, part of the evaluation process in your course. Just a little bit more as well about, before we leave group, the capabilities and nature of group, of course groups within Canvas. Let's talk a little bit about group assignments in Canvas that you create. Students can't create assignments. You notice there was no assignment tool on that group homepage, but you can create assignments as the instructor in the course in the usual way by clicking on the Add Assignment button in the Assignments tool. Give this assignment a name, Group just for example, Group Presentation Project. And you give them some instructions. Create a PowerPoint or Google Slides presentation, which you will present live later in the term. It's one possible group project. And you expect that each of them will participate and that all of them will be involved at the time when the actual live presentation is made. It's just one possible scenario. As is the case with Canvas assignments, you have to assign a number of possible points for your grading scheme. If you have multiple assignment groups, you can decide which one to assign this to. Usually you'll display the grade as points, and you're going to they're going to have to submit this assignment some way. There are options of no submission, that doesn't apply here, or online submission, or they can turn it into you on paper, or they can submit it from an external tool like Google Docs or Microsoft Office 365. Let's say they're going to upload something. They can, or let's say they're going to submit it online. They could, if this is a group assignment, probably they're going to upload a file. And you can set the number of attempts the number of times they can submit the assignment. And if you wish, you can submit it for plagiarism review and turn it in. But what makes it a group assignment is this checkbox right here. This fixes it so that the students will have to work on this together, and they will access this assignment. Then only the members of a particular group will be able to access the group assignment for their group. So students will only be able to collaborate with other people within their own student course group if you select this as a group assignment. There is a way to make this a group assignment, but not really, by selecting this option here that says assign grades to each student individually, which basically defeats the whole purpose of group assignments. But students complained so loud and long that eventually Canvas added that option to this. You get to decide which group set to assign this to. We have this project group for seminar today, and that's the one we've been working with, so we'll select that. Or you can create a new group set right now. If you didn't think to create the group set before, you could create it right now, but usually you'll create the group sets and the groups within it first, and then you'll just select the group set that you want to assign this to. And you can set a due date. And availability dates if you like, and then save and publish the assignment. And this is now a group assignment. When the students click on a link to this assignment in a module, or if they go into the assignments tool and access it, they'll be accessing the assignment for their group, or the copy of the assignment for their particular group within that group set. And they'll work on it together, and one or more of them will submit. One of them will submit the assignment. Generally, they'll decide among themselves who's going to do that, or maybe you've assigned a group leader who is supposed to submit the assignment. And then you'll get the submission. You'll go into the speed grader. You'll grade it, and everybody within the group will get the same grade. Is how group assignments are intended to work anyway. Like I say, it's more work for you, and it's definitely more complicated for the students, but it forces them to work together. It forces them to get along. It forces them to motivate one another. And it gives them those interpersonal group skills that they're going to need in most any job. Even if they're flipping burgers at McDonald's, they're probably making more than I made per hour in my first job many years ago. They're going to still have to work together as members of a team. And this sort of activity, this sort of project requirement, group project requirement in a course, in a Canvas course, can be of considerable value to them later on. Okay. Those are course groups, what you can do with course groups and what students can do within their course homepage. So let's go back to PowerPoint here, and we've covered all this. There is one question we often get about student groups, course groups specifically, that you create in your Canvas courses. And the question is, oh great, can I fix it so that I can put content into Canvas and only people within a particular student group can see that content? And unfortunately, the answer to that is no. Canvas did not conceive of that capability for Canvas student groups, which it was a capability we used to use quite a bit in Blackboard. Blackboard had that capability. You could, if you had a group set and you had student groups within that, you could say post a link or a link to a document in a module that only the students within that particular group, within that group set, could access. Canvas chose not to include that functionality. There have been many suggestions over the years that they include that, but so far they haven't done that. So that's one thing you can't do with student course groups in Canvas. You can't restrict what they can see. You can't restrict content by group, by student group. So any student, if you post something in a module, any student in any group within the course can view it. And there's no way to restrict that by group, student group. So that would be handy at times, but we don't have that. Student groups, as I mentioned earlier, are groups that students create themselves. You don't create student groups. These student groups might be used for making study groups. You know, instead of having to exchange phone numbers and say, well, we'll meet at the McDonald's down the street where they have good Wi-Fi and we'll work on our project tonight or whatever, or we'll study together or whatever. They can do this asynchronously in Canvas. They can make groups for social purposes. Just find a group of like-minded people. They want to get together asynchronously and kind of chat with one another at whatever time they wish. They can create their own discussions and things like that. They can use it socially or for any other purpose that they deem desirable. No one's forced to join a student group, so if they don't want to be in part of it, they can just opt out. Just to show you how that works. Let's see, I need my student login here. There we go. Let's go back out of the group here. In order for students to do this, you have to give them access to the People tool in the course menu. You don't have to have the People tool available to students in your course menu if you want them to participate in course groups. You don't necessarily have to do that. But if you want students to be able to create their own student groups, they have to have access to the People tool, because that's where the group creation tools are. And there's just this tab called Groups. And under that tab, and this student is is part of a student group in a number of other different courses and so on. So those all pop up. But this student can also create a student group in this course by clicking this Add Group or Plus Group button here, and just give it a name, like Homework Study Group. Yes, your students are getting together and working on their homework together anyway, right? This just gives them a way to do it without having to meet in person and swap COVID or something like that among themselves. The student who creates the group gets to decide who can be a part of the group. The options are anybody can join. This group will appear as an option on everyone's everyone's people tool, all the students in the course, and anyone can join it. Or they can set it invitation only. So the creator of the group gets to determine whether people can be a part of the group or not. They'll get a request. People can request, other students can request admission to the group, and the person who created it gets to decide whether to let them in or not. And you can invite students, and they'll get a message in Canvas inviting them to the group. And just submit. And there it is down at the bottom, the most recent one. And the student can leave the group at any time if they don't want to be a part of it. If they visit the group, they get a course homepage. This student group has the same type of course homepage that the course groups have. So they can post announcements, they can create pages and share them, they can create discussions that are discussion topics that are a part of, or that only the people who choose to join this group or are allowed to do so can access. They can share files. They can create collaborative documents. All the stuff we saw that were possible in the course groups that you create are also possible here. And students have this capability. You can prevent students, if you don't want them doing this, from being able to do this simply by removing the people tool from your course menu in your course, or remove it from student access. You can drag it down below the line in the navigation tool in your settings page in Canvas and prevent students from creating their own groups. But it's a nice thing for them to be able to do. And I can't recall there being a problem with it, and we hear about things if somebody's misbehaving and harassing other students and groups and things like that. We generally hear about that fairly soon. I don't recall hearing about any problems associated with Canvas student groups ever. Not to say it couldn't happen. But you can access these student groups as the instructor if you need to, and deal with situations if you have to, but doesn't happen very often, certainly. So that gives the students yet another way to, particularly students in true asynchronous online courses, gives them another way to interact with one another that they miss by not sitting in the same classroom together for a few hours each week. But this sort of thing can be useful even if they do. Even if this is a traditional classroom course with no distance education, a formal distance education component, you can still give them this capability and they can use it to get together. It's probably a lot easier for them to get together and study asynchronously through a Canvas student group than it is to actually physically appear in one another's presence. It takes time, gas, some risk these days of passing germs back and forth. That Canvas gives them capability to interact with one another asynchronously without taking any of those risks. So can be a very useful thing for them to do, and it's a capability built into Canvas that you can allow your students to take advantage of if you so wish. Okay. So everything we've talked about so far has involved asynchronous group interactions and group work through Canvas, where people don't have to be online at the same time to do it. But of course, in many cases nowadays, even in courses, online courses or courses with an online component that aren't synchronous by design, can use Zoom. You can be teaching an online only asynchronous online course, one where the only thing the students have to do is interact with the material you put in Canvas and follow your instructions therein. Even in that case, you can offer synchronous meetings through Zoom to those students. And of course, in courses that are online, designed to be offered synchronously online through Zoom, you can require your students, well, good luck. Just as you can require them to come to the classroom, you can require them to come to your Zoom meetings, and some will comply and some won't. But in cases, online courses that are taught synchronously, of course, they'll have to, if they want to pass, they're going to have to come to your Zoom meetings. And within those Zoom meetings, of course, you can have them engage in group work in real time, synchronously, where they're all online at the same time, all talking to one another, sharing information with one another, and interacting with one another just as if they were in a classroom, except that they're seeing one another through Zoom rather than face-to-face, where the only thing they can get, the only thing they can contract that they don't want in a Zoom group interaction is a computer virus, opposed to COVID or the flu or RSV or whatever. These distance tools have, thank God, came along at the right time. We would have had no college. We've had no district. Colleges worldwide would have gone out of business if these tools hadn't been available in March of 2020. And they continue to improve. And the next time we get ourselves in a situation like that, we'll desperately need them again. But even if we don't need them desperately again, they're very powerful ways to interact with students. And Zoom is a very powerful way to interact with students in real time. Either your entire class at one time, or small groups, or the ones who care to show up, or whatever. So being able to, if you have a number of people showing up and you want them to engage in group activity within Canvas, there is of course a tool built into Canvas that allows you to do that. And it's called the Breakout Rooms tool. Many of you probably use it already, but just to make sure everybody's familiar with it, we're going to cover that tool for the remainder of the session today. So we're going to look at what breakout rooms are and how you implement them, how you create them, how you get people into them, and how you start the breakout rooms operating. So let's take a look at Zoom itself. To do that, I'm going to share my Zoom screen with you. This is something you can do if you change a setting in your Zoom accounts. You can actually show your students your Zoom screen if you're trying to explain to them how to do something in Zoom for themselves. And I'm going to share my Zoom screen with you. And just be on the safe side, I'll share sound. All right, so here's my Zoom screen. God, there's two of me there. That's more than anybody needs. And you can, in the Zoom host menu here, is a breakout rooms tool. If you don't see this in your account, most likely it is not turned on. I don't think breakout rooms are available in free Zoom accounts. So the first thing you ask yourself, if you don't see this breakout rooms tool in your Zoom host when you start a Zoom meeting as the host, then perhaps you don't have an SDCCD Zoom Pro account. There's still a few people, I think, out there who don't know about this and who don't have one. And it's available for the asking. You do not have to pay for it. You can use it as much as you like. And all you have to do is request it from the Information Technology Help Desk at the district. These are Zoom accounts, our Zoom Pro accounts, or SDCCD Zoom Pro accounts, are managed at our district now instead of centrally at the state chancellor's office. So you have a lot better chance of getting to someone. To get one of these, all you have to do is send an email to ithelp@sdccd.edu. There it is in the chat tool. Just send an email to that and say, I don't think I have an SDCCD Zoom account. If I do, I don't know how to get into it. Can you help me? If you don't have one, they'll make one for you and send you the information you need to access it. If you do have one, you just don't know it, they'll send you the information you need to access it. It's free. There's no reason not to have it. The other possibility, if you don't see this breakout rooms symbol here, is that you just don't have that feature turned on in your Zoom Pro account. Now that's highly unlikely in the case of an SDCCD Zoom Pro account. Those are turned on by default. That tool is turned on by default. But if you don't see this, you can go into your Zoom account at zoom.us is the URL. Just open up a web browser, type zoom.us in the location line, press enter, and sign in using the credentials for your SDCCD Zoom account, which will be your district email address. Mine's different because of history I have, but yours will be your SDCCD.edu employee email account, and then whatever password is set up on your Zoom account, and sign in.
Dave, while you have that up there, is that is that the email I need to use to talk to you after this is over?
No. You just send it to the email. You could do that, certainly, and I would probably see it on my phone. But the safer thing to do, if you any of you need to send me an email, I'm always thrilled to get excuse me, emails from folks who have attended these meetings. And my district email address, which I still have access to, is this. dgibberso, no N on the end, dgibberso@sdccd.edu. So that's the safe one to use, excuse me. Okay, and once you get to your Zoom account management screens, you go to Settings in the menu on the left, and you just scroll under Meeting Settings, which is where you come up. You look for the there's a blue million settings. You just have to go through until you find an easy way to find something on a web page is to do Control F and then type in a keyword. I'm sorry. There we go, breakout room meetings. Make sure this is turned on. And then you should see this breakout rooms tool. Forgive me. I'm about to have to go get some drink of water. This breakout rooms tool here should appear in your Zoom menu. So how do we use that? Well, we click on it, obviously, to get started as the host. Only the host has access to in a meeting, has access to this particular tool. And you're asked to create your breakout room or rooms. Normally there'd be more than one, or there's no point in making a breakout room or making breakout rooms, right? This is going to allow you to create little mini Zoom sessions that are subordinate to your main session, where you can have people break out, literally, into smaller groups and talk about something or work together or do whatever group activity you want them to do while they're isolated from the rest of the attendees in the Zoom class meeting. It's the virtual equivalent of rearranging the furniture rearranging the desks in the classroom, so that instead of sitting in neat rows, you got little circles at different points around the room with people facing one another and talking to one another and working on something. And then at the end of the day, you put everything back in rows and you talk about what you did while you were separated. We've all played those games in classes and in conferences and things like that. Zoom allows you to do that virtually through breakout rooms. This is the tool that you use to create breakout rooms. And you can decide how many breakout rooms you want, and then allow Zoom to assign people within the meeting to those rooms randomly, which is probably, well, no, I'm going to show you the whole process here, so I'm not going to do that. But that's the simplest way to create breakout rooms. If you don't care who's in each room, you just look at the number of people you have in the meeting, which will be under your participants link in your menu here. It tells you how many people you have attending the meeting. You say, well, I want about 3 people in a group, so if I want about 7 groups or something like that, or you can just say, I just want 5 different groups or whatever.
Is there a maximum you can have in a room?
No. You can have everybody in the meeting in one breakout room if you want to. Wouldn't make much sense, but you can do it. Zoom will let you do it.
Dave, are you going to put us on? Because I see there's something new about you can now broadcast your voice. I see it's highlighted.
Oh yeah, I'm going to show you that. Not to worry. Not to worry. So you can have Zoom just create. You can tell Zoom how many rooms you want, and then have it assign people to them automatically. That's the quick way to set up breakout rooms. Or you can assign people to them manually. You still have to decide how many groups you want. I'm going to just make 2 groups here just to keep down the number of times I have to jump from group to group while we're doing this. That's about the minimum number of breakout rooms you'd ever want to create. Or you can let people choose their own. No, I want to be in there with Sally. Or, oh, I don't want to be in there with Sam. He's a putz. So, I don't know. That's simple enough to do as well. It takes it out of your hands. You don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to show you how to assign people to groups manually, because that's the most complicated way to do it. And that gives you control over who's in which group. So I've decided I want 2 breakout rooms. I'm willing to accept, what have I got, about 11 people in a group. That's fine. It just depends on what you're asking them to do and your judgment on how many people would be most effective in a particular group. But I'm going to assign them manually because I want to make sure that Sam and Susie don't end up in the same group, because I know there'll be trouble if I do that. So then I click Create, and I get 2 rooms. And then by default, they're just named Room 1, Room 2, and so on. But I can rename them if I like. by clicking on this, by mousing over them here and clicking on the rename option. Or if I've decided I don't need a group, I can delete it. But to assign people, go ahead.
Have they always had rename them, or is that something new? Because I didn't have that when I was doing it online.
Have they had what?
Have they always allowed you to rename the group names?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I could have done that when we were online.
Yeah, but it only lasts for the duration of the meeting.
Huh.
Okay, so you have to keep doing it. But yeah, if you want to rename the group orange, group blue, group red, or whatever.
So that's not new. That was there 2 years ago when I was doing it.
As long as I remember, I can't remember a time when that was not an option.
Oh my gosh, I feel dumb.
Sorry about that. No, it doesn't come up unless you happen to mouse over the names of the rooms.
I could have done that. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I had to tell students.
Next time, next time you can do it.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. To assign people to the groups is obvious. You just click on the assign link here, and you get a list of everybody who's in the meeting. And you can pick people out carefully, or you can just pick the first 11 or so. I'm not going to... Yeah, the Dave Giberson here is my laptop that's logged in, not me presenting. So I'll put me in there, in one of them there. Of course, you have to count on your fingers and toes to do this. So I'll assign those people to, let's take one off there, 11, to room 1. And they show up here in the room list. So now I can go to room 2 and click assign, and I see everybody else. And it's already taken out the people I've put into room 1. So I can just select them, and bingo. So that's how I manually assort people among breakout rooms. But that's all just preparation by me so far. The breakout rooms are not yet active. Nobody's in them. In order to actually activate the rooms, all I have to do is click Open All Rooms there. But before I do that, there are some options that I want to go over with you that will help with this and help you understand this process a little better. If I click this Options button here, I have an option to allow participants to choose their room. That's kind of an after the fact. If somebody gets into a room and you open the rooms and they look around and they say, God, I don't want to be in here with these stiffs. It gives them the option to leave and go into another group. I'm not big on allowing that option, but that's up to you. If I wanted to allow that, I'd just check that option. Allow participants to return to the main session at any time. In other words, they can escape. I don't, if I put people in a breakout room, I probably want them to stay there for a certain period of time. The control freaks among us will not select that option. Because once they leave the group, if they leave the breakout room, they can't get back in. And I have to, as the host, I have to go put them back in if they need to get back in. So I like to have a closed garden there. I like to lock the door once the breakout room is opened. That, again, is a personal decision. Be aware that there is, of course, a way around this. If somebody really wants out, they can just leave the meeting and then rejoin it. That will put them back in the so-called main room where everybody is now, rather than into a breakout room. And they'll pop up to you as the host as being not in a room, and you can either remonstrate with them and put them back in a room or ignore them or whatever you decide to do. This will, of course, happen inadvertently often enough as well. Somebody's internet connection will glitch. And if you've opened up your breakout rooms and the person was in a breakout room and talking with their peers in the breakout room, and then suddenly their internet connection drops and they get kicked out and they have to come back in, again, they'll be put back into the main room, and you as the host have to reassign them and put them back into the desired breakout room. That can be a little bit of a pain, but it's, the internet just ain't perfect. So that will happen sometimes. Next option, automatically move all assigned participants into breakout rooms. If I don't have that checked, people just get a suggestion, an invitation. When I open the breakout rooms, you get a little message that says, the host has invited you to join breakout room so-and-so. Click here to join. Or not, as you prefer. Well, again, control freak says, hey, if I open up breakout rooms and I assign people to them, I expect them to go to them. And I expect them to stay there. So I'm going to turn on this option that says put them in there. Kicking and screaming if necessary, but put them in the breakout rooms. Again, that's up to you. Or you can, this tends to cut down the amount of time it takes for your breakout rooms to become functional, because people don't have to see the invitation and accept it, and without, there's no pearl clutching involved or anything like that. They get turfed right into the breakout room. Up to you. If you are not planning on being an active participant in your breakout rooms as the host, but you don't want the breakout rooms to go on indefinitely, you can check this option here, which says breakout rooms close automatically after some time, and you can select the time. If you select that, you can select the number of minutes the breakout rooms will be open, and they will automatically close after that time, and everybody will be put back into the main room, and you can talk again. You can talk about what happened in the breakout rooms. And if you're really not paying attention, you can have Zoom notify you by email when the time is up. So if you go swanning around your house and so on and doing the laundry while everybody's in the breakout rooms, you can have Zoom remind you that, hey, it's time to go back. I don't tend to use that. But it is courteous to give the people in the breakout rooms some warning before you close the rooms, some automatic warning. And so I do like this option that says countdown after closing. So once you say close the rooms, they're going to get a delay, and they're going to get a little timer that's going to say this room will close in 10, 9, 8, or whatever. And your options are 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or 2 minutes, 120 seconds. So you can give them warning. This gives folks in the room a chance to finish any last thoughts or last business that they needed to finish as a group before you before they're turfed back into the main room. So that's courteous. Under realistic circumstances, probably 30 or 60 seconds is a polite minimum to give people to finish any last minute business. I'm going to set it for demonstration purposes at 10 seconds because I don't want to have to wait that long once I close the rooms for us to be able to talk to one another in the main room again. So once I've set these options the way I want them, all I have to do to get this rolling is to click here where it says open all rooms. But before I do that, and let you play with it for a few minutes, in case you haven't experienced breakout rooms before, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint slides here. And we've talked about all of this. Let's go to what can you do as an attendee in the breakout rooms once you are sent to them, or once you answer an invitation and enroll yourself in them. And let me stop my share here for a second so that tool is not in the middle of the screen. Well, obviously you can talk to one another just as you can in the full meeting, in the main room or the standard Zoom meeting. You can also share screens with one another, assuming the instructor has enabled participant screen sharing. How does the instructor do that? Well, I'm going to have to share my screen again to show you that. Under the security link or icon in the Zoom host menu, you click on that. You want to make sure allow participants to share screen is checked. If you don't check that, they won't be able to share their screens in the breakout rooms either. So you got to remember to do that. Ask me how I know that. Okay. They can chat with one another. There's an active chat tool in the breakout rooms, but they can chat when they're in a breakout room. When you're in a breakout room, you can only chat with other people who are in that breakout room. So the discussion, you're not discussing something with or sharing something in chat with the entire meeting, just with the people in your breakout room. You can also share files in the usual way through the chat tool. Let me pull up my chat tool here, which you can see. And you got this little file icon here. You click on that and you can share documents. With everybody in the meeting, or with individuals within the meeting. So, but only within your breakout room. If the host has specifically given you the capability to do so, you can also record the activity that takes place in the breakout room. In order to do that, as the host, to give somebody the right to record, like, let's say I've decided that Kathy is, let's see, let me get this out of the way. There we go. All right, let's say I want Kathy to be able to record in the breakout room. I have to find Kathy's video thumbnail, either in this little strip along the top of the screen, which I usually see, or if I can go to gallery view and find her that way. And I go right on Kathy's nose and I right click or command click if you're using a Mac and allow her to record local files in this meeting. Now she can record the breakout room, as she could record the main room too, but she can record her breakout rooms. But you have to do that person by person.
Oh, and it's recording.
You can't do it for the whole meeting at one time. So it's a little bit of a pain, but it is something that you can implement. All right. That chat tool out of the way. Anyone in the breakout room can also enable closed captioning, live closed captioning, if they so desire. That has changed. The process for doing that has changed a little bit in Zoom over the last couple of months. Used to be, if you were an attendee in the meeting, you had to, and the live captions were not enabled by the host, which I haven't done yet today because it's no longer necessary. you had to wait or request that the host enable the live captioning. And then you had to click on the little CC symbol down here to activate live captions in your meeting. That's no longer the case, however. All you have to do if you want live closed captions now, either in the main room or in a breakout room, is to click this little CC symbol in your Zoom menu at the bottom of the screen, and your captions will either turn on or turn off, depending on what the status is at the time you click. So they've simplified that a good deal, and they're not relying on the memory of the host to enable live captioning at the beginning of their meeting, which is really good when your host is as old as I am. So it's that's a nice new thing. And anybody who's in a breakout room can enable captioning for that breakout room, just for that breakout room. You also have the capability to share, to bring up a shared whiteboard, which you didn't used to have in there, regardless of whether the host has enabled screen sharing in the breakout rooms for you. You can still bring up a whiteboard and share it and draw and scribble things to one another. And finally, there's an option for you to ask for help. You'll find that in your participant menu at the bottom of the screen here. It says ask for help. And you can send a text message to your host if the host doesn't happen to be in your particular breakout room at that moment. So you can do all of these things once you're in a breakout room. So let's see how that works. I'm going to, let's see, I am not sharing that, so let me share my Zoom screen with you. Here's my Zoom screen now. I've already set these breakout rooms up. And that room structure and then the people I've assigned to the rooms will stay in place throughout this meeting. It'll go away when I end this meeting and I start a new meeting. I have to set up the breakout rooms again. But within a particular meeting, it'll remember this as long as you need it to. If I suddenly decide, a bunch more people have joined, I need to add a new room, I can add one at this point. I can look and see if there's anybody who's gotten kicked out and come back in and is not assigned to a room, but that's not the case right now. So I'm ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and open the two breakout rooms. I am then going to, as the host, and I as the host will not be put into a breakout room automatically. I'll end up alone, presumably, if everything works, in the main room, and you all will be in your breakout rooms talking to one another and sharing screens and chatting, and Kathy and a couple of other folks can record their breakout rooms if they want to, enable captioning, share the whiteboard, whatever, or ask me for help if I'm just sitting there snoozing while you all are working in your breakout rooms. You can ask me for help, but while you're doing that, I can join your breakout rooms as the host at any time I wish. You will know that I'm there. You'll see me pop in if you're paying attention to that, but so I can't just sneak in and listen to you, but you'll know I'm there. And then you can ask questions of me, or I can just observe for a while, and then I can leave that room and go to another breakout room. And I can go, this is the virtual equivalent of walking around the room and stopping for a minute at each circle of chairs and seeing how people are doing. And I can't show you that because, that only happens when you're in the breakout rooms. But what I will see that you're not seeing right now, what I will see opposite each room name is a button that says join. And that's all I have to do to join your breakout room. And and then I can leave that room and go to another. I can't be in 2 breakout rooms at the same time. So we've just got a couple of minutes left. So let me open the rooms and let you see what a breakout room is like, and I'll join each room in turn. Here we go. Everybody but Martina, I'm sorry. You must come in right there at the end. Let me send you to a room here. Let's see. There we go. Huh. It's showing up. Oh, Martina's not there. Huh. Martina, can you hear me? For some reason, it's telling me that you're not joined. I don't know why that is. Oh, there we go. Okay, put you in that room anyway. Okay. Oop. Let me join room 1. Oh, somebody's recording. Hey, here I am.
Record. Yeah, I forgot.
Here I am. And now I can interact with you and just generally kibitz and then leave. I've got a little button in my lower right-hand corner of my screen that says leave room. So it'll come out. I just hit that. And I'll see you back in the main room in a couple of minutes. I'm going to close the rooms here in a couple of minutes.
I'll stop the recording too, because this is not even my computer. I'm on campus.
No, I don't do that.
Hello, room 2.
Uh-oh, he's recording us. Be on your best
Somebody's
behavior.
recording this, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
It warned me when I came in, so that's good to know. I can interact with you and or just kibitz or just sit and listen quietly. And when I'm done, I have a button in the lower right-hand corner that will allow me to leave the room and go back to the main room, whence I'm going to close this in just about 30 seconds, okay? Or maybe a little less than that. Then we'll talk all together as a group. All right? See you in a minute.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And that happens too when you're in the middle of talking.
Sorry about that. It did at least give you 10 seconds warning. That's why it's nice to give people 30 or 60 seconds to finish their thought before they before the room actually slams shut on them and turfs them unceremoniously back into the main room. And then you get to find out who stayed. And whether just as if you were send real students into other classrooms and ask them to come back near the end of the meeting, some of them aren't going to come back. That's usually true in Zoom breakout rooms as well. But wait, most of you did. Thank you for doing that.
Like someone wrote you a question in the chat.
Let me look at
Awesome.
that. Let me look at that.
Yeah, I have that question too. So
About the flex number?
yeah.
Was
Oh,
it
no,
different?
this one has its own flex number. You know, I don't think I put that in the announcement, did I? That I sent out by email. Just a second, I'll get that number for you. I've
It's
got it.
15776.
Thank you, Don. 15776. Thanks so much.
Yeah, but I think on the flex, the title of it, it reads differently than, because we worked on groups, but the official title based on that flex number is using new quizzes in Canvas.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
No, that
That's
was-
one five seven
Actually,
seven
that
seven.
was last week.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow is notifications and settings in Canvas. Uh-oh. That's
But it did
oh,
say
somebody's
quizzes.
point.
Yeah.
It said new
I
quizzes
will,
for
I will
today.
ask Mary Kingsley to check that. Thanks for the heads up. I don't have any access to the Flex system, so I can't go in and check it or change it myself, but she can fix it. And if you have any trouble registering for it, I'll ask her to put the date out a little bit into the future if that indeed happens, so that you'll have a chance to register for it and then award yourself the credit. But if for any reason you have trouble with that, let me know and I'll forward that on to Mary and she can put you in there after the fact.
I'm looking at it right now, and it says workshop information, group activities in Zoom and Canvas.
Oh, really?
No, not on the,
What's the number for that?
Not,
not through our portal.
157. This is what came out in the email
Yeah.
this morning.
In the
morning
portal,
workshop.
it's different.
Portal is
list-
different, yes,
The list of all the professional development in the portal.
yes, exactly.
15776. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and that's what I'm reading right off of Mary Kinsley's emails this morning.
You're
Yes,
right. But if you go into the portal and look at the Flex system,
yes,
it's not showing that, right?
exactly. When you register your,
I'll ask Mary to fix that.
yeah.
It might just be the title, like an error in title.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
title.
Thanks for letting me know. I'll ask her to check that and make sure it's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now a couple of things, just a couple more things real quick. We've already seen how to close them and things like that, but there is a capability in breakout rooms that we have not had before. Actually, one that we've had for a little while and one that we've really just gotten recently. If you are the host and you send everybody else to breakout rooms, but you remain in the main room, you can share your screen, your computer screen, to everyone in all the breakout rooms. You do that by, and I can't actually show you that because it doesn't come up unless you're in the breakout rooms, and then I don't want to put you back in the breakout rooms. We're already a little over time here. But when you go to your share, when you click share screen as the host, you have, of course, I have multiple screens to share, but usually you'll just have one. You can choose to share your entire screen or individual applications. But down at the bottom left of this share screen preparation box are two options. One says share sound, one says optimize for video clip. I don't recommend using the optimize for video clip. If you're going to play a video though, and you expect people to hear the sound, you need to click share sound. But if you are the host and you're in the main room and everybody else is in breakout rooms, you will see a third option here, other than these two, that says share your screen with all breakout rooms. And if you do that as the host, you will then be able, everybody in all the breakout rooms will see your screen.
But we can't see it right now because you're not using.
You're not in breakout rooms. And if I put you
Oh,
in breakout rooms, you wouldn't be able to see it anyway.
okay.
Only the host sees that, and only when everyone else is in breakout rooms.
Okay.
Okay. The drawback to that capability for the last year or so has been that you could only share your screen and not your voice. So you couldn't share your screen and talk to people at the same time across all the breakout rooms. They've fixed that. There's now in the breakout rooms control box, down here at the bottom, there's a button labeled broadcast, which you can't see because we're not in breakout rooms. And you wouldn't be able to see it anyway, unless you were the host. But there's a broadcast button. And then if you click on that, there's an option to send your voice to all of the breakout rooms at the same time. If you don't want to hassle with that, there's a way to do it just from the keyboard to send your voice to all breakout rooms. And you'll probably get a notification when you first create the breakout rooms that this is possible. But if you're sharing your screen, or even if you're not sharing your screen, if you just want to talk as the host, you just want to talk to everyone in all the breakout rooms, or at least speak at them. That you can't hear them unless you join their breakout room. But if you want them to hear you as the voice of the mighty and powerful Oz from the main room, all you have to do is press the B key. B as in boy key from the on your keyboard, and your voice will automatically be transmitted to all of the breakout rooms. And you'll break right in over top of whomever else is speaking, and they will hear your voice as the voice of the host. This is your host speaking. We've got 10 minutes left or whatever. If you're having any problems, just click on the icon at the bottom of the screen that says ask for help, and things like you can tell them anything you want, and you can share your screen at the same time, and they can actually see your screen and hear you talk about it. You just can't, as the host, hear them reply. But it gives you a much better way to send information to
So you're saying you press the B key? B as in boy.
Just B, not control B or anything like that?
Not control B or anything, just B.
Okay.
Do you have to hold down on it or just?
Yes, as long as
Okay, got it.
push to talk. So you hold down, just like microphone in a patrol car. You press down and hold. If you don't want to have to do that, you will see there'll be a little broadcast button. Whoop. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure you're seeing that. Something's popped up on my laptop there. Yeah, there we go. You'll right here, down here where you see recreate and add a room and open all rooms and so on. If you have the rooms open, you'll see a button down here labeled broadcast. And if you click on that, you can turn on the audio broadcast and it will stay on. You don't have to hold the B key down. But the B key is simpler if you don't mind holding it down. And that allows you to speak as the voice of the mighty and powerful Oz to all of your breakout rooms at the same time, and they will all hear you. And that's a neat new feature. It's only been available for about 6 months or so or less. So you have to have updated your Zoom client recently, either on your phone or on your computer. And does everybody know how to do that?
Do we have to do that, or the district does that for us?
No, you have to do that.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, let's. That sounds like that's worth talking about. Huh. Huh. Oh, what happened there? Okay, here is your Zoom client. What am I doing?
Are you whistling or is that an echo?
Oh, that's me. That's me thinking. Sorry about that. Okay, now you're seeing my Zoom screen, and here is the Zoom client. Now you're seeing it, yeah. This is your Zoom desktop client. You have this on your computer, even if you don't normally see this box. It's automatically loaded onto your computer the first time you enter a Zoom meeting, either as a participant or as the host. You can bring this up on your computer. If you have a Windows computer, you can just go down here to, if you have Windows 10, you can go down here to type, to search, and you just type Zoom, and the Zoom app will pop up. Or you may indeed have the Zoom app on you may have an icon on your desktop for the Zoom app. If you're running a Mac, you can bring it up by going, you may have the Zoom app in your ribbon, your ribbon at the bottom of the screen, or you can go to the applications folder on your hard drive and find it. But either way, you run that Zoom app and you see a screen that looks something like this. This is what the Zoom client screen looks like if you're in a meeting. If you're not in a meeting, there will be 4 colored icons here, but it's very similar. And in order to update your client, which will not generally happen automatically, you have to go to this little icon in the upper right-hand corner. If you have uploaded an image, a profile image, you'll see that little image here, or you may just see a little stylized silhouette here, or initials, depending on the version of how up-to-date your client is. But at any rate, you're going to click on this icon, which is in the far upper right-hand corner of your Zoom client window. And that's going to bring up this menu. And on that menu, and I know this is a little small, depending on, let me put this over, maybe I can make this bigger if I show it to you this way. Let me kill that share. Let me make this bigger. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Excuse me. You click on the little icon up there, and you get this menu. And on that menu is an option to check for updates. You select check for updates, and it will tell you if you have the current version of Zoom client. Oops, I don't have the current version. Shoot. I'm fairly recent, but they put these updates out with some frequency. So if you see update available and you're not in a meeting, you can't update your client while you're in a meeting. That would be like sawing the limb off while you're standing on it. But if you go into the Zoom client in between meetings, you'll see an option to download and install this client. So you just take that, you click on that option, on that button, and your Zoom client updates. You want to do that periodically. if you want Zoom to remind you when you should, and I see right here, it's telling me a new version is available. Update. That is a little fuzzy. I don't know why that's so fuzzy. Interesting. I can't really. Let me pull that back over and share my screen again. That'll be a little clearer. Okay, and here's my, bring my client back up again. Okay, that's a little clearer, I think. And if I go to the settings wheel here, the little geared wheel below that icon we were clicking on a minute ago to actually run the update, there is under General Settings an option to automatically keep Zoom desktop client up to date. And I have that checked. And that's why Zoom is telling me a new version is available. My Zoom client is telling me a new version is available. Update. And I can update it. Once I leave the meeting, I can update it. But you don't have to set that automatic update on. You just, if you just want to remember to check your, to just every couple of weeks or so, update your Zoom client or check to see if there are any updates available. It's rare that 3 or 4 weeks will go by without an update. And new features, like that hold down B to talk in breakout rooms, or in if you're the host and broadcasting the breakout rooms, is something that's only been in the client for less than a month right now. So to get all the greatest new features, you have to update these clients periodically. Occasionally, Zoom will force an update and will push it out to everyone, but that doesn't happen very often anymore. They kind of let you look after yourself. So keep the moral is to keep your Zoom client up to date if you want to get all the neatest, latest, and greatest features. Okay. Great question. And let's see, is Don? Nope. Yeah, there's Don. Did that answer your question, Don?
I was going to ask, is a way for that to happen automatically? For example, sometimes with other programs, you get ready to shut it down. So shut it down after we update.
No,
Okay.
it will warn you that there's an update available. And sometimes it will force the update. It will do the update without asking you, but sometimes it doesn't. Just depends on whether Zoom decided that those new features were important enough to warrant that or not. And if you want to have control over your life, it's better to just periodically go in and check for updates and update the client manually. It just takes a minute, literally. The hard part, particularly for people my age, is remembering to do it. Every now and then something new, I'll see an announcement on some news feed or something that said, oh, there's a great new feature in Zoom, and I'll go in and I don't have that feature, and I suddenly realize, oops, I must not have updated my Zoom client. So it happens to us all. Okay, great questions. How about some more? See how the weather is doing up here.
David?
Getting dark up here.
David?
Yes, ma'am.
Dave, I noticed that on that list, it said remote support.
Yes.
What is that? I don't.
That's a way that you can use Zoom as a tech support tool for a colleague. or for your students. Let me share my Zoom screen again. I don't think I am sharing my Zoom screen. You're seeing that.
Yeah, when you were showing like if someone wanted to update things, that's the list I was looking at.
Right. Here it is, support. If I click that, I can, if someone is in the meeting with me, I can request control of their desktop or of an application, an individual application, or I can request that they restart their computer.
Oh, so it's only for the people with you, like in your classroom, in your
Exactly. It's only for the people.
I thought it was like the help
meeting.
desk, that was something new.
Yeah. If I click again, let me close that. If I click request desktop control, which is what you normally would do if you're trying to help someone who is having a problem on their computer.
Okay.
Then you get a list of the people who are actually in the meeting. And you pick whoever you like. I'll pick, I can share this with you. If I ask my laptop over here if I can have control, I just click this request desktop control button, and it says here, waiting for me to approve the request. So if I go over, and I'm going to clear my share here, and then I'm going to share from my laptop. Whoop. Let me do that again. I think I canceled it when I did that. Okay. Oh, I requested Kathy. I'm sorry, not me.
Oh,
Here we go.
nothing popped up for me.
Sorry about that. I cleared it before you would have seen it.
Oh, okay.
Now let me share my Zoom screen from my laptop. Okay. Oh, shucks, it doesn't show that. Let me do it again. Okay, yeah. Oh, that canceled the share. I guess I can't show you that. But anyway, on the person whose computer I sent that to, on their computer, a little box will pop up that says Dave Giberson or whoever you are has requested desktop control. Allow or not. You click allow or okay, I forget which one it is. And then I, the host, can control your computer as if I were sitting in front of it. My keyboard and mouse become attached to your computer, and I can run your computer. I can open applications, I can change configurations, I can help you correct something that's not working right on your computer. And then, presumably, I will give you back control of the computer, and your problem hopefully will be solved. So it's a way to use Zoom as a technical support tool. So if a student is having trouble doing something, like let's say a student can't figure out how to change their view in Zoom from gallery to speaker and back and so on, you can do it for them and then turn them loose. Or something. So that's just,
I become the help desk, not the real Zoom help desk people.
Correct. Yeah. Sometimes it's worth it. It's handy, but not something you want to do all the time.
Is that something new?
8-9 months ago, I guess that first popped up.
Okay.
That's another one of those things that I got when I updated my Zoom client.
Oh. And I noticed that all of a sudden I see the word whiteboard as one, like there's reactions, apps, and whiteboards.
Post menu, right. That's the new Zoom whiteboard.
Okay.
Used to be, in order to share a whiteboard with someone, let me share my Zoom screen again.
You had to do it through the Zoom, the share screen.
You had to do it through share screen, right. And you had a whiteboard link here, and you still have that. That's the old Zoom whiteboard.
Okay.
The new Zoom whiteboard is accessed through the Zoom menu. and your host menu, or actually participants can access it as well. And you click there, and you can make this is very much like Jamboard.
Yes, that's what I'm going to ask.
It has the same capability, pretty much the same capabilities as Jamboard, so it's a better whiteboard.
Okay.
And that's how you.
That middle one.
Yeah.
Can you show that middle one?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you show one of those whiteboards? Is that already done? Yeah.
Yeah, these are already done. Like this one.
Yes. Like, how do you show it? Like, demonstrate how do you share it? Like
Open and collaborate.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Okay.
And then we can collaborate.
Pardon?
And then we can add stuff too.
You can add stuff to it and so on. Yeah. And you have tools over here on the left, like on that little bar on the left, like you have in Jamboard and so on. It's got the same basic tools as Jamboard has, but it's part of Zoom. So,
okay. Yeah, I just added hi.
Yeah. There you go. There it is. Okay, and then I can close. I have a little red button at the top of the screen that says close whiteboard. And I can close it. You can still
before I put my smiley face on it.
So that's the new Zoom whiteboard. And if you're, excuse me, and let me get back to screen 4 and me. If you want to see about that, you can go to our, if you want more detail on that, you can go to sdccdolvid.org, our open on demand site, and go to the workshop archives. And look back several weeks. Whoa, that's been longer than I thought. There it is, from September 15th, whiteboarding in Zoom. I demonstrate the new Zoom whiteboard in some detail in that session.
Okay.
Okay.
All the stuff when I'm totally on campus now.
Cool. But the whiteboard is, the new whiteboard is very comparable to Jamboard. But Jamboard still works like a charm too, so there's not a huge advantage to one over the other. So I'd stick with the one I was used to. But just in case Zoom or Google suddenly decides to start charging for Jamboard someday, or just wipes it out in a restructuring or something, you should still have the Zoom whiteboard available to you. So it's nice to have another option. Okay, great. New stuff. Anything else? Don, Kathy?
No, that was very good and very enlightening, particular changes. And I just found out how to make the settings. I'm used to those that do it automatically.
You have to update the clients, yeah.
Except they'll occur when I want to shut down, and I can't shut down right away.
Yeah.
So we'll see you tomorrow on the notification and settings. And I hope you go to settings again for this one, because other people might not be aware of that change.
I'll mention that
Okay.
on the, you mean the Zoom desktop?
On the Zoom when you want to do
updating
audio.
the Zoom client. I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll make sure to mention that.
Good
Okay.
night. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
I won't be seeing you tomorrow. I have class.
Oh, bless your heart. Sorry about that. We have to do some in the morning.
I know. That's good. By the way,
But
if you
I'm
already-
sure you've sat through that one before. There's nothing much new in that one. It's
Well, I learned something new this one. Like I
Same
said,
old
all this time, I didn't know you could rename those numbers. That would have been so helpful.
I'm so glad that is going to be useful for you. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we do these. Not only do we do them over and over because new people come in and so on, but we all forget stuff. Or maybe we just never knew something. As much as we use a tool, we may not have used that particular feature or whatever. And suddenly you find something that changes your life.
Settings is something we don't use that often. We try to set it and forget it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And forgetting.
Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'll look forward to it, Don. Take care. Kathy, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And I just sent my schedule for December in today. It's on our Online Learning Pathways website on the faculty page. At the bottom of the page, the professional development schedule for abbreviated professional development schedule for December is on there if you're looking ahead. So.
And the flex for today is 15776, but did someone say that we have to wait for it to be changed?
No, well, I don't know. Apparently it's not right in the flex system, which is displayed on the portal. So I'm going to have to send an email to Mary here in a minute.
Well, I'll check it out.
Yeah, but you won't be able to register for it until you get the, well, actually you can register for it now, but it won't have the right title on it.
Oh, okay, but I'll have the right.
You can still get the credit, and I'll ask her to correct the title.
I think I have more than enough credits, but I still like to keep track of things.
Oh, sure.
And
Hey,
did you already
you're
have
here,
your
you want to get credit for it, and somebody knows you've got all these hours, so that can't hurt down the line.
Exactly. And by the way, did you already have your Camtasia class?
I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was probably.
That one was, let me see, that's online.
Yeah.
That is a recent, just in the last bit. Was on the 10th of November, and there's the recording.
Okay, November 10th, creating and editing instructional
videos.
Okay.
It was an introduction to Camtasia. I went from starting it up to editing.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Dave. Awesome as always.
Oh, thank you for coming. Thank
Promise
you.
to leave this classroom.
Good questions.
Yeah, this is the adjunct office, which is like a very long.
Oh, wow. Well, but the sound and video quality are great, so
yeah,
worked out.
Okay. And you got to take care of that throat. Oh, by the way, the Zoom, I noticed the Zoom icon is like a circle with the word Zoom. Is that?
Yeah, they've changed the icon.
Okay, so it's not just
line. It's not the little camera anymore. It's a rectangle or a square, a rounded square with the word Zoom in the center.
Okay, so it happened to everyone. It's not just.
That happened to everyone. That's their corporate logo changed.
They made it more simple.
Yeah, well, they made it more clear because that little camera logo is used by other companies as well.
Oh.
And people were not recognizing the Zoom logo, so they decided we're going to make sure people know this is Zoom. So they put the name of the company in the logo instead of the little stylized camera, which is probably long overdue.
Okay. Take care.
Take care, Kathy. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye-bye.